What is total installment price? Well, it's the total amount of money that you pay when part or all of the purchase price is financed with an installment loan. To determine total installment price, you'll need to know the cost of the item, how much the down payment was, how much was borrowed, what the interest rate and the length of that loan was, and how much interest was accrued on the loan. We're going to look at some examples of how to find total installment price. But first, let's think about what happens if we buy something and we don't take out a loan. Ashley is buying a $1,000 laptop computer and she's going to pay cash for the purchase. So how much does this computer really cost her? Well, the computer cost $1,000. And she didn't make a down payment because she paid the entire $1,000. So she didn't need to borrow any money. And that means she didn't accrue any interest. Since she didn't take out a loan, we can't really say that there's a total installment price for the computer, but we can still think about how much the computer cost, which was just the $1,000 for the item. So Ashley's total cost was $1,000. Now let's change things up a little bit. Ashley's still buying a $1,000 laptop computer, but she doesn't have the entire $1,000 to pay for it. She can pay $200 down, but she'll need to borrow the rest of the money, and she's going to do that for 2 years at 10% simple interest. Let's find her total installment price. First of all, the item still cost $1,000. Of that $1,000, she has $200 to make as a down payment. She'll need to borrow the rest of the cost. So $1,000 minus $200 is $800 that she'll need to borrow. Now we need to know 2 more things about the loan. The interest rate, which is 10%, and the length of the loan, which is 2 years. Now let's find the cost of the loan. That's the interest that accrues. To do that, we'll use the simple interest formula. Interest equals principal times rate times time. The principal is the $800 that Ashley borrows. The interest rate as a decimal is 0.10, and the time in years is 2 years. So if we multiply those, we get a total interest over the life of the loan of $160. So what's the total installment price? What's the total amount of money that Ashley pays for this computer? Well, these are the numbers we'll look at. She made a $200 down payment. She also borrowed $800, and then she has to pay $160 in interest. And if we add those together, we get a total installment price of $1,160. Now let's change this a little bit for one more example. Ashley is still buying her $1,000 laptop computer. She's paying 40% down, and she's financing the rest for 3 years at 10% simple interest. What's her total installment price? We know how much the computer costs, that's $1,000, but we haven't been told the dollar amount of the down payment. We do know that she pays 40% down, which means 40% of the cost of the item, 40% of $1,000 she's going to pay down. So 40% times the $1,000 is $400 down. The rest of the cost will be financed. So how much will she have to borrow? Well, it costs $1,000. She puts $400 down. So $1,000 minus $400 is $600 left to borrow. The cost of borrowing that money is determined by the interest rate of 10% and the length of the loan, which is 3 years. The interest that accrues is the cost of borrowing the money, and we can find that with our simple interest formula. The principal is $600, the interest rate is 10%, and the time in years is 3 years. So if we multiply those together, we get interest of $180 that will accrue over the life of the loan. The total cost of the item is the $400 down, plus the $600 that had to be borrowed, and the $180 in interest. If we add those together, we get the total installment price of $1,180.